Good evening. I'm having some technical difficulties today, but I was determined to do this so I could mark it as done on my list of things to do. So apparently the computer is, camera is not compatible with doing Facebook Live on the computer, which is what I originally planned to use. Then I had some other methods. Anyway, evidence of resilience right here that I'm coming to you live anyway. I'm Trina. You guys probably know me because you're probably originally seeing this on my, originally I'm filming it as a Facebook Live, but I do plan to share it on my new YouTube channel that I have, and maybe eventually put it on my blog website, but which is givencontext.com. If you don't know about my blog right now, it's mostly about, well, it's a lot about books, but it's also about my goals and progress on my goals throughout the year and that kind of thing. So check that out if you haven't. And I have plans to come and do a Facebook Live weekly to talk about the classes that I'm giving in the PBT Institute community. PBT Institute is a community where people are healing from betrayal. So I'm a coach in the PBT community, and I do classes there weekly. I'm going to talk about the class content on my Facebook Lives. Of course, I won't talk about anything, share anything confidential or anything, but I do want to, since I'm creating content to share in there, I want to share it with my friends here and worldwide. So yes, I'm wearing a Skeletor t-shirt. There you go. So I like to start every class sharing a win of the week, and my win of the week for last week was that I created a YouTube channel. So I didn't really intend to do that when I did a Facebook Live for my previous class, but I just kind of started messing around with, like, what does it take to get a video onto YouTube, and made a YouTube channel. So there you go. It really is kind of that easy. I encourage everybody to do it. So my class that I did last week, I'm actually kind of running a week behind, but that's okay. The class I did was Elevate Yourself, and talking about elevating your mood, elevating your mindset. And I started off the class by talking about this isn't really probably anything new to anybody, but maybe it's got a special little Trina spin on it. I did try to put it in the context of talking to people who are suffering from post-betrayal syndrome. It's a set of symptoms that Dr. Debbie Silber identified in her PhD study, where she was originally studying post-traumatic growth, and identified that people suffering from betrayal kind of have their own set of symptoms and a different process for healing, and identified some of the things that help or hinder that healing process, and founded the Institute and a community to help people heal, and now trains people like me to be a coach in that. I did have to take training. I had to do a case study, interview with Dr. Debbie, and pass a test. So, and I've been betrayed a lot, so I'm qualified. If you don't know about that, feel free to ask. You know, it's not much of it is a secret, but but the goal for me, coming out of betrayal, like yet again, is to actually transform, not just ride the waves, you know, but to actually get above them. So, so the class I did last week was talking about your elevation, things to do that can elevate your mood. So like I said, well, maybe won't be anything new, but if you hear something new you hear something that you like, let me know. If you hear something you don't like, let me know. If you want to talk about your experiences, I'd love to hear a comment. But so number one, and probably the most recommended thing in this kind of list, is upbeat music. Listen to some music. I'm a big fan of heavy metal, and but I'm also a big fan of listening to disco. You can't listen to disco and be sad, so disco is a really good one. Anything that makes you want to dance. If you don't feel like dancing, maybe try dancing just even for like 10 seconds. give yourself permission to stop after 10 seconds, but dance for 10 seconds and see how it makes you feel. I take dance class once a week. My daughter happens to be the teacher. It's a super great dance studio and community, and it's very helpful. I take tap dancing, which is really good for working on anger. It's really great. Going for a drive in the car. Going for a drive in the car is a great way, I think, to get away, to get some time to yourself. During COVID, when everybody said, like, you can't even go outside, you can't leave your house kind of thing, I was like, yeah, I just can't go to stores. I just can't go to the movies. I just can't do some of the other things I used to do, but I can just get in my car and I can just drive and go somewhere and get a change of scenery and stay in my car so that I don't want to interact with anybody else. But that was a really great way that I found to get some change of, elevation, some change of mood during when things were locked down, by just getting in the car and taking a drive and doing whatever I wanted to. So find something that makes you laugh. That might sound obvious, but when you're trying to elevate your mood, I'm not talking about going from like 0 to 10. I'm talking about getting from like 1 to 3. I'm talking about like inching yourself up to a little bit of a higher elevation to improve your mood and your mindset. And it's really comforting to watch old TV shows or things that you've already seen before. Predictability can be really helpful in those kind of situations. I watched a lot of Hallmark mysteries, and because there's a Hallmark mystery channel that I didn't know I had, and watched the Aurora Tea Garden mystery series in some of my like darkest days, and I found myself watching like Murder, She Wrote, and you might think, well, murder, that's not gonna be, that's not gonna elevate your mood or whatever, but they're so like pure, like they're, someone's gonna die, but they always die like without any blood or anything, and it always gets solved and it always gets wrapped up nicely. And I know exactly what to expect from watching an episode of Murder, She Wrote, because I've seen so many throughout the years, and I won't remember, particular episodes probably or whatever. So there's still a little bit of newness to it, but the fact that it's so predictable, like, helps the brain not have to work super hard on watching it. And it like improves, it helped me to improve my mood. So that's something I recommend. Exercise wouldn't be a how to improve your elevation list without saying to exercise, to go outside, to go exercise outside if you can. I didn't ever think I was going to be a person who exercised, but now I go to a class like 3 times a week in addition to my tap dance class. So I'm kind of getting to be an active person, but largely because I realized that activity helped to burn off the anxiety that like really it was in my body. Like, people think anxiety is all in your mind or whatever, but like I had very clear physical symptoms of panic and different kind of traumatic response, and to be physically active actually really is helpful in working that out, literally. So eat well. Maybe again goes without saying, I highly recommend berries. I highly recommend apples, lots of veggies, mostly berries. Lots of antioxidants. That's going to be good for everything. Posture. So I had this conversation years ago with a friend of mine that there is a direct correlation between the angle of your chin to the ground and your mood. So if your chin is like this and your shoulders are slumped, you're not going to feel as well as if you're sitting up straight, which obviously I wasn't very much if I gained that much height by sitting up straight. But for me, the key is keep your chin up. Like that expression, keep your chin up, is an expression for a reason. Most things in English language or in language at all are an expression for a reason. And so literally sitting up straight, keeping your chin up keeping your eyes up will help improve your mood. So something to keep in mind. That one was something that was new for some of the people in the community when I gave that class, and they took it as good advice. So I hope you will too. Clear clutter, especially if it's got somebody else's name on it. If it has bad memories tied to it, you don't necessarily have to throw away all your memories or, you know, anything like that. But if something, every time you look at it, makes you angry or whatever, like, by all means, get rid of it. Burn it. Safely. But you know, clearing clutter, rearranging things in getting a new perspective can be really elevating. And sometimes that can be just as simple as sitting in a different chair to drink your morning coffee, you know, having a different view, painting a wall a different color to help brighten things up and give you something different to look at, especially in these times where we've been home for a year. Doing a little rearranging and color changing can be really elevating. Hugs, if you have a safe way to hug someone, I highly recommend it. I have a young one who lives at home, not very young adult, who will, you know, graciously give me a hug occasionally to help elevate my mood. So, and sleep. I can't say enough about sleep. You will hear me mention sleep in probably every session I ever do because sleep is so important. I learned that really the very hard way last year. And as the days get longer and summertime approaches, it's really important to be sure that you're getting enough rest. I have posts in the community, which is talking to the people in the PBT community, and but get support, and just as importantly, give support. When I say, you know, tell somebody that I feel, I got a cat doing a thing. But when I tell somebody that I can relate to their pain, when I can say something to them to make them feel better, that makes me feel better. So support is super important, but it's also a two-way street. It's just as important to give it as it is to get it. And that's why I'm here. There's a best self visioning exercise that Dr. Debbie has people do as they go through her program. And I ask people to reread that. So basically, you know, what is your highest best self? Like, create a vision of that future person and take note. My advice, you know, to elevate your mood today is to take note of the aspects of that person that you already possess. Maybe this person, you know, has a certain weight, or they have a certain job or whatever, but there are, if you get down to the details of that ideal person somewhere in the future, there's going to be things about that you already possess today. And so take note of that and give yourself some credit and recognize the things that are already awesome about you. Gratitude list, that's going to be on everybody's elevation list, but and gratitude is one of my strengths. Last previous video, I talked about strengths, and gratitude is one of mine. So that's kind of an easy thing for me to do. I have something called the Council of Support. I was looking to see if I did have Baby Yoda like right here next to me the other day. But I have something I call the Council of Support, which is a bunch of different stuffed animals that have different symbolism to me. I have a Gritty from the Philadelphia Flyers hockey team mascot. That is a reminder to me to, you know, stick it out. I have Tulsa, who is a monkey from the Tulsa Zoo, who was my empty nest buddy that I got from the Squid, which is my youngest kid. When Squid was going to college and I was going to be an empty nester, I went into the bedroom and was like, hey, which one of these stuffies can be my like comfort animal when you're gone? and we settled on Tulsa. And I have a collection of these different stuffed animals that symbolize different things, and, you know, are available to me and cheer me up. They make me laugh and smile. So I love them. Also pets. Sometimes petting your pets can be very mood elevating. Sometimes they drive me nuts, but do something nice for someone else. Send a thank you card, or do a random act of kindness, or leave an extra big tip. I think that one maybe is especially important nowadays. Things are starting to open back up, especially in this area, but where some things never really closed down, but businesses are, still impacted, and those people are especially impacted. So if you have the ability to, boost somebody's day by just leaving kind of an insanely large tip, that's one I highly recommend. Having done some of that kind of work myself in the past, very, very little, but enough to know. Another thing that can really boost your mood is checking things off a list. Like I said, I wanted at the beginning of this video, I'm going to do this because I said I was going to do it, and I need to check it off the list. Even if you're really, really in a down mood, you're really depressed, kind of thing, like just make a list of things you've already done today, so that you have something to check off. There's actually like a dopamine hit from checking something off of a list. And if you're really down in the dumps, it might just be, got out of bed. And even if the only reason you got out of bed was because you had to pee, like it still counts. You still got out of bed. Even went pee, on the list and check it off, like because you did something. Breathed, like open my eyes. Like you can make a list. Like if you're in a really down spot, like below sea level kind of elevation, like make a list like that. That's literally things you just did because they were automatic, and then check them off and be like, yeah, I did that, and you'll get a boost. Play. You could probably need to be a little bit above sea level to be able to be in the mood for playing, but I highly recommend it. I will almost like fight a kid for the swings at the park, so I won't actually fight them, but almost. I really enjoy swinging, so you have permission to be silly. Sometimes people, you need to hear someone say like you have permission. It's okay to be silly. You can be a 45-year-old woman wearing a Skeletor shirt and act silly, and that's okay. It's okay to be silly. So be playful, have some fun. If it helps to think about things you like to do when you were a kid, or things you didn't get to do when you were a kid but you wanted to, and now you're an adult and you can do those things, like or even just it can be mood boosting to think about something you would like to do, that you think you would have fun doing later, or something that made you happy in the past. Like I really like to go hiking. I haven't been hiking in a long time, but if I think about going hiking, it's gonna give me a little bit of a mood boost. And but it can be especially fun to think about things that you think would make you happy when you get to try them sometime in the future. Like plan a beach vacation. Like the anticipation is actually more important than the thing sometimes. So putting things in your cart online that you're never going to buy, I do not recommend overspending. Retail, no, I do not recommend retail therapy necessarily, but it can be fun just to browse and just to look. That was mainly my list, and my dinner that was in the oven that I turned off before I started was cooling. It's probably ready for me to go and finish up now, but I would love to hear feedback if you have ideas, if you loved or hated any of my suggestions. And I put a link in the live, and I'll put a link when I post this to YouTube of where you can go to take a quiz to find out if you have symptoms of post-betrayal syndrome that Dr. Debbie discovered, and might be a good candidate for the community. I can work with people one-on-one coaching. So far, I'm not really doing that because I'm kind of just getting my feet wet and trying to be of service in the community. But if you need more information, if you'd like to talk about it, let me know. And otherwise, I will probably come back in a few days with the talk about the third class I did, which is called Your Legacy of Authenticity. And next week's class will be about focus. So my first 4 classes spell the word self, sort of. Because that's what I'm doing in the community, is self-development coaching, totally into like goal setting and that kind of thing, and helping people live their best life and be their best self, in spite of circumstances that may have made that more challenging for some of us. So thanks for showing up, and I will talk to you later.